The live stopped for some reason. No, anyway, I was saying I always tell people to watch Ugly Betty because it's a really good show to watch to understand the ins and outs of running a magazine, which helps you understand marketing, branding, advertising, social relations, just anything you could think of to work with. Like anything you could think of, like if you want to get into marketing, creative direction, any of the media or creative media fields is really useful. Like with record labels, it's useful. It's just useful to anyone who wants to work in marketing, branding, advertising, music, or media. That was my thought. Back to the interview. I don't know why it cut off. I think that was weird. Go watch Ugly Betty. It teaches you a lot more than you think.
Or as Puff would always say, guilt by association. And then there's paid impressions, and that's where you're spending money for media dollars, right? Generating X amount of revenue with consumer base. So how are we messaging to our target consumer in a way that speaks to our mission and our purpose?
I'm at like 7 minutes and 40 seconds if y'all are watching it with me.
With communications, for instance, to understand what is our mission and purpose of the company and how are we executing that mission and purpose internally and externally. So how are we educating and informing our employees, our investors, our stakeholders? Are all of those communications in line with what we say we stand for and what we say we believe in? And then to that end, we are responsible for generating X amount of revenue with consumer base. So how are we messaging to our target consumer in a way that speaks to our mission and our purpose? And keeping track of all of that constantly and making sure that's a well-oiled machine for as little money as possible.
That was going to be my next thing. There's a budget that you're given. And so talk about that part. Like you're doing the most with sometimes
less.
The least.
Yes. Yeah, you're making magic happen. So there's three types of impressions. There are owned impressions, which is earn your leisure. You guys own your impressions, right? There are earned impressions, which is publicity, PR, or as Puff would always say, guilt by association. And then there's paid impressions, and that's where you're spending money for media dollars, right? So there's three ways of generating.
So what's that again? What's the first one?
It's owned.
What's that?
Owned impressions are your own impressions. So however many followers you have on social media, however many followers you have on YouTube coming to earn your leisure to view your content, those are your impressions. You own them.
Organic reach.
Organic reach.
Then what's the second one?
Earned.
What's the earned?
Earned media impressions are press.
Somebody writes an article.
Somebody writes an article.
So generated.
You go on someone else's podcast. So I repost your content, or I invite you to participate in an event or a co-branded partnership, and then you generate impressions based on that. So you go on Good Morning America tomorrow. Those are all earned media impressions.
And then what's the third one?
And the third ones are paid. And that's all advertising. So that's sponsorship, that's media, advertising, billboards.
Commercials.
That's, yes, above the line advertising. So print, out of home, radio, and digital are the four above the line paid media. And then there's below the line paid media. So you could pay influencers. You could pay for product placement. You could pay for branded entertainment strategies, all sorts of below the line things you could do to pay for awareness and connectivity.
And you've seen that shift, right? Because from when you started, print was a thing.
Yes.
Not so much a thing anymore.
Right.
More money needs to go into digital. How have you navigated that?
It's been great because one of the things that we did early on at Blue Flame and why we were so successful, but it was an uphill battle back then, is we were a below the line agency. So we hyper focused on influencer connectivity. We hyper focused on social media and digital media, which at the time people were buying Super Bowl commercials. And then that was it. We're going to spend $2 million on a Super Bowl commercial. Yeah, we did it. Whereas us, we wanted to actually take over Twitter and have, the best handles for our brands and connect at a very organic level. And people just weren't using those strategies back then. So we had tremendous success in disrupting in the category and in culture. And being an expert at that, obviously 15 years later, is really interesting to see.
So
Okay, let's talk about these different types of strategies. Mm-hmm. So, because I have like a unofficial doctorate degree in marketing. I know, that's right. So, I have theories on this, but I think that the organic way is probably like 10 times more effective than paid marketing, right? Absolutely. More expensive. I mean, it's less expensive. It's less expensive and it's more effective. I was always taught like you have to run like, I don't know exact numbers, but let's say like 5 paid ads to convert one person, where organic it might just be two times somebody actually sees you and then they'll just start to follow you. Or it's like, that's what we've done. We've never paid for any marketing. It's all been through word of mouth. Yes. It moves a lot faster and it's a lot more trustworthy than just seeing constant ads. So if you were advising a client, how would you advocate for them, a small business or just any size business that's looking to, grow their marketing campaign? So that's a really good question, and it's hard to kind of sum it up in a nutshell because I think it does depend on nuance. Because you're right.
Hate that word.
It is better, meaning the stickiness around your connection with your consumer is better organically. But if your goal is to create awareness, right? Because there's awareness and then there's affinity. So awareness is people being familiar with your brand.
Is this the
Are you
ad?
looking at fallback for the
Familiar. Somebody said, would you say that? Like, awareness is someone being familiar with your brand? I would say awareness is someone finding out your brand exists. Creating brand awareness is getting people to understand that your brand exists. Familiar with is them understanding it to a certain degree. I don't think your first job should be making sure that they understand your brand. I think the first thing should be making sure they understand that your brand exists. So brand awareness for me is making it so that you know I have a thing, period. Everything else is after that. Familiarity is, oh, okay, that's so and so. Like when I see your label, it's like brand recognition. I feel like that definition is brand recognition. Brand awareness is just I have a brand. My brand, yeah. My bro. Another ad. Too high again.
Is people being familiar with your brand. If I say earn your leisure in Bangladesh, do they know what earn your leisure is? Right? That's awareness. Right? Like they know who Puff Daddy is in Bangladesh, right? But affinity means they watch the Earn Your Leisure podcast. They come to the, to the conferences. They know you by name and to have that connectivity. So sometimes organic works best because you're trying to ultimately get to affinity. But if you're trying to quickly build awareness around your brand, paid media can be effective. Case in point, people that have e-commerce companies nowadays buy social media ads for conversion, right? They want to sell their product. They run IG ads. The more ads they run, the more eyeballs they see, the more people convert. And they can do that very quickly because they have a transactional commodity. They're selling makeup, right, or water. Whereas you guys are building an intellectual property. So it's more important for you to build organic connection because people need to think to understand why you're valuable. They don't need to do, they need to think. So there's a different modality there. So it really does depend on what your brand is trying to achieve. But the quick answer is you spend the biggest amount of your time on earned media. Earned media. Because people trust recommendation. So there's a trusted brand in Earn Your Leisure. And if Ian says, go buy Apple, which is what he always seems to say. You see, I watch the podcast.
Shout out to Market Mondays.
Market Mondays. Ian says, go buy Apple. People are going to trust you guys and potentially at least go research Apple, right? So That's an earned media impression for Apple. Every single time Ian says that. You see the value? So if you go to earn first, you're going to not only get the association with whatever brand value that thing has, you're going to be introduced to expanded audiences. It's going to create all these other tentacles for your brand that will automatically get you owned media impressions. Those are going to come because you convert people that way. And then you continue to connect with your owned media community. And once you start building up money, you make investment in paid, and it becomes this nice ecosystem that works for your brand.
So in marketing, you say cults become culture. Meaning it's more efficient to just focus on a small group of people and have them be evangelists for you, as opposed to just trying to spread yourself too thin, because eventually those small group of people will grow.
Osmosis.
And will become culture, right?
Yeah.
Like the 12 disciples, right? Like eventually this becomes 2 billion Christians around the world. What's your thoughts on that? Because that's something that a lot of people don't really do effectively either. Like they come out the gate and just try to just
be all things to all people.
Exactly, as opposed to really honing in and building a very small, tight-knit community and then kind of just growing it like that.
1,000,000%. I am always about vertical versus horizontal strategy. So it's like zero in on who your core audience is and hyper penetrate that audience. So get them in every place that they are passionate. So if your audience works 9 to 5, you probably should be targeting them from 6 to 10. You know what I mean? But if your audience is creative, you have to figure out where those key touch points are for them and hyper focus on those areas, because you want to get them when their mindset is in the thing that they are passionate about. So it's not necessarily just getting them. It's connecting with them in emotional moments that make sense for them so that they remember you.
When you talk about paid media, and you said you go under the line, and
when she say touch points,
if you're doing that vertical method,
somebody said what she mean when she say touch points. I believe what she's saying is the places that you find the people, like the actual place they click the ad at. But again, this one's different because it seems like she's taking a different approach to branding and marketing than the one we're used to. So she's talking about paid ads and where they clicked your ad at. So if you're on social media and you're watching an Instagram story and you get the ad in between the stories and you click the click now link, that would be the touch point that she's talking about. For us, we're talking about where the ad found us at. Like I was scrolling on social media, I didn't click it, but I saw it. So what she's saying is making sure that you're finding them where they're at on social media. Like it's just a difference. She's one of the CPM people where it's like clicks per or cost per minute, clicks per minute, whatever. Like running actual paid ads that pop up on your Facebook or your social media in general. The things that most people in my generation don't click on, that's what she's talking about. So that does come from a generational gap, because that's how they approached it. Because back then when they paid for advertising, it was a little different, or just advertisement in general was a little bit different. So the touch point would be where they actually clicked on the button. And the button is the thing that they call, the button is, I got my phone. I get a lot of ads. It'd be 2 to 3 stories in this ad. The button is the thing that you click. Like if it says click here or watch this or whatever, that's where. That's what I'm not doing because I get way more ads on this account. Excuse me. Alright, bet. I'm gonna try not to move because I don't feel like it. A little bit. Oh, shoot. Alright, so in this situation, this is the ad. And then if you see visit. Oh, Lord, they're gonna make me refocus it. Actually, let's turn the camera. Oh, Lord. No, wait. Alright. Right there where it say visit Instagram profile. Come on, friend. Don't do this to me. Don't fail me now. I'm on a journey. Alright. Where it says visit Instagram profile, because this is the ad. It just popped up. I don't follow this account. This the ad, whatever. Where it says visit Instagram profile, that would be the touch point where you actually click it at, and you click it, and it takes you to their profile. That's the touch point. So the point of the ad is to get you to go to the Instagram profile. And then from there is where you do the discovery. It's not always a website link. So somebody said it doesn't have to be a website link because sometimes I click and it'll be like, it'll just take me to the Instagram page. For them, they want clicks on the page. And then from there, you can do the rest. And it's funny because this is an alcohol brand. But yeah, this one, their goal is to get more clicks to their profile. I don't know if it's because they're assuming that people will purchase from the profile or if they're looking for more followers. That would be a question to ask the person who set the campaign. Usually they have the metrics established, but or the not the metrics, but like the campaign objectives established. So it's like it depends on what the person was looking for when they set the campaign. They could have just been looking to get you to view the page because they're trying to get their analytics up in the view department. And they could be looking for you to actually follow. They could be looking for you to shop and purchase. Those are three different goals. So any campaign, when it comes to something like that, they got different goals. So it really just depends. That'll be something to ask the marketer, the social media marketer, or whoever actually launched the campaign. But yeah, for me, second question, this paper can bother me. Should put it out of the way already. Anyway, the question was, what would my focus be? Well, with a brand like this, my focus would be for you to view the page. The only way I'm doing the like profile view ad campaign is if there's something on my profile that I feel is worth viewing. Like if I feel like once you get to my page, you're going to be scrolling for a while and the sale is already locked in. Like I just want to know what I'm buying now. Then that's when I would do a profile ad. If the profile itself is, I lost my train of thought. The only way I would do a click to profile ad is if the profile itself is so good that you can't stop the person from buying it. Like if you can wormhole it or rabbit hole it, which is where you use the infinite scroll feature, which is basically like where you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That's what it's called, infinite scroll. When a website lets you scroll endlessly, kind of like Twitter. Well, Twitter does have the infinite scroll feature, which comes into what doom scrolling is, but that's unrelated. If your profile is good enough for a person to keep scrolling, then that's when I would do the visit Instagram profile. But if you're just trying to sell something, I would probably send them to the website. But I would also feature a story ad that is worth watching. Like in this one, let me go back to the ad. Go back. Here we go. I feel like this one, I like it because it's intriguing.